Hello and welcome to Outfront's webinar focused on building brands for healthcare businesses and facilities. A recent 2021 Mintel report on health management found that 45% of adults feel more in control of their health since the pandemic. And 49% of respondents reported having more time to focus on themselves. And a focus of self-prioritization will last beyond the pandemic. So what does that mean for you, your brand, and the growth of your business? We're excited to share with you how Outfront can help people, places, and businesses grow. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Victoria Modishard, Senior Director of Marketing for Outfront's East Region, and I'd like to introduce today's speakers. Liz Raves, Senior Director of Marketing at Outfront, based in our corporate headquarters in New York. Liz oversees the implementation of national initiatives and regional strategy. She's also involved in the evolution and promotion of the Outfront brand within the marketplace. Eddie Hardy, a New Orleans native now residing in Atlanta, and Outfront's VP of Creative. He is an out-of-home enthusiast and passionate artist. Eddie leads Outfront's in-house design team, Outfront Studios, and leads the industry's creative initiatives through involvement with various creative organizations and industry partnerships. And Eddie is responsible for the amazing CDC creative that many of you have seen the past 11 months. So please insert questions you may have in the Q&A box on the right panel throughout the presentation, and we will make sure to address them at the end. So I'll turn it over to the speakers. Liz?
Thank you. Bear with me while I just pull up our presentation. All right, ready to go. So thanks, Victoria, and thanks to all of you for joining us today. I know that there are a lot of new friends out there, so I wanted to kick it off with a short video outlining Outfront's purpose so you get a better sense of who we are and what we stand for. Sorry, 1 second, I'll reshare it. All right, here we go.
As the most visible media platform in America, Outfront understands its role in creating cultural impact. For us, most visible means connecting with people through canvases and displays that are always on and woven into the fabric of our communities. We are not a channel that can be turned off. We are not an opt-in service, nor are we a paid subscription, which makes it even more important for us to think of ourselves as a neighbor. With that in mind, we have a profound opportunity, and more importantly, responsibility to positively impact people, communities, and businesses. Because at Outfront, positively impacting people's daily lives is central to our purpose, helping people, places, and business grow stronger.
Great, so as you can see, Outfront's purpose is to help people, places, and businesses grow stronger. And especially in this time, we take true pride in being part of the community, helping people stay informed and safe, and helping businesses, big and small, grow stronger. Today, we're going to cover three main things. First up is the changed consumer and how to reach them effectively. Then we'll go over media solutions dedicated to the healthcare industry, where we'll see some case studies from your counterparts that are doing out of home really well. Then I'm going to turn it over to my friend Eddie to discuss creative excellence, because as we know, 70% of an ad's effectiveness is due to its creative. So no surprise here, the past year has drastically changed our routines and media preferences. Back last March, a lot of us probably looked like this woman, but perhaps a little less smiley. Stuck on our couches, endlessly scrolling on our phones and checking out whatever's new on Netflix. I'm sure we all remember the Tiger King days. We saw a big surge in mobile usage as well as different screens in the home. However, today, with the continued deployment of vaccines, hopefully up to 3 million a day in March, with continued numbers declining across the country and restrictions being limited across different cities, and of course, with the new weather, we're seeing a drastic shift to the fresh air. We like to say that out is the new in, and people are really associating being outside of their homes with a new joy. And fun fact, psychologists tell us that happier people notice their surroundings more, which also means that they notice advertising more. The research backs that up. Here at Outfront and as an industry at Out of Home, we recognize that people are constantly changing in these hard times, and we want to keep up with the research to make sure that we have our finger on the pulse. So this data is just from last month. Again, 68% of us are reporting digital device burnout. We know that we're spending too much time on our phones and with our TVs. 65% of us want to get out of the house as much as possible. I'm sure some of the parents even more so than that. And people are noticing out-of-home ads while they're outside their home even more, increasing by 45%. The workplace has also been mixed up. We are seeing a hybrid of working remotely and working in the office. At this point, 72% of Americans are commuting into work weekly. Just over half are doing so daily, with the majority, 80%, going into the office 2 to 3 times a week. The way we're moving around our communities has changed as well. In fact, 3 out of 4 people reported walking and biking more, increasing their exposure to street level media, everything that they see along those daily commutes. I know my husband and I take a nightly walk just to get out of our small Brooklyn apartment each night. Also, we see that 86% have used a vehicle in the past month, whether that is a personally owned one or a rideshare service. In fact, we saw a huge surge of auto sales in the beginning of the pandemic, as it was another form of PPE to get outside of your home with your household members and experience your neighborhoods. 90% have reported using public transportation in the past month. Now, this isn't your typical Monday through Friday, twice a week like pre-pandemic. Instead, we're seeing big surges on the weekends as people are using this for leisure activities, maybe exploring a new park in their city or meeting up with friends for a fun outdoor activity. We also have noticed that our subway riders in New York have become younger, they're educated, and single. So our days have been different, but what's important to know is that Americans are still out there, and out of home and mobile are a great way to reach them. Whether you're using your phone as an alarm like me, you'll see mobile ads throughout the day, taking those needed jogs with the dog, working from either your living room or your office, depending on the day, or even running errands outside of work. I know that going to the grocery store is a big event weekly for us, and we've actually seen impressions surge in media surrounding those big box and grocery stores. Smart brands recognize this and are mixing it up. Oscar is pictured here, a brand that launched with us back in 2013 with fun and whimsical ads that really humanize their healthcare services. Their CEO actually reported that they attributed their rapid growth to their out-of-home ads, with their VP of marketing stating that the effectiveness of the out-of-home was much better than what they saw on TV. This winter, they've integrated more ads to complement their usual subway presence. Here you see it on the billboards and on buses. They've even taken it a step further in terms of changing over the language to better fit who's in front of their ads. Remember, buses follow the people, so they're integrated into all different types of neighborhoods. Not only have we changed our media and routines, our focus on healthcare has changed. After a year with daily changes with COVID-19, healthcare is top of mind for Americans and their families. In fact, 45% are feeling more in control of their health since 2020, and citing being at home is allowing them to focus more on themselves and finally keep track with those health goals. We expect this desire for control to exist beyond the reemergence after the pandemic. So your communication now and in the future is super important. 52% of adults prefer to buy from companies that are showing that they're taking the proper safety precautions for their customers and their employees from COVID-19. 71% state that they'll lose trust in a brand if they feel that brand is putting profit over people during this time. And 70% still find that in-person visits with medical professionals to be the most credible resource, but over 40% have tried telehealth and are willing to shift over to a hybrid type of experience. So what does that mean for you? What is the consumer takeaway for healthcare brands? First up, you guys have a great platform to start on. There's already established trust in the healthcare system to build on. We all know that that is so important today when trust is pretty hard to find. Digital health management has gained momentum with consumers. Again, COVID-19 has forced a lot of adults to turn to telehealth methods in order to receive medical care. But following positive initial experiences with virtual appointments during lockdown and having personal safety in mind, adults are more trusting of this as a service of care. Healthcare brands and brands in general need to adapt to these shifting consumer needs. It's important to focus on how your safety is prioritized, if there's an unexpected wait, or any estimated cost ahead of visits. And new routines are here to stay. Consumers will conform to the new routines they found to find new comfort and self-care. So any tools you have with strengthening immunity, mental health or stress management, or limiting exposure to illness will be sought out from adults as they readjust to social norms. So we too are experiencing an in real life and mobile or URL experience. Out of home is the best primer for all things digital, including search, social, and mobile. First up, search. When you add out of home to any media plan, it increases search by over 40%. And the cool thing is that your out of home doesn't have to work harder, it just has to work smarter. Make an impact with the consumer, maybe even make them laugh, and they'll know how to Google and find your brand. Next up, consumers are 48% more likely to click on a mobile ad after being exposed to that ad on out of home first. There's such a strong correlation between out of home and mobile that we have our own mobile solution dedicated to the healthcare industry that is in accordance to HIPAA laws that you can tap into to really connect your beautiful in real life canvases to the actions that can be taken on the mobile phone. And lastly, out of home drives 4 times more social activations per ad dollar spent. You think about it, these are giant, beautiful canvases that people just love to take pictures of. So if increasing your social presence is important, a great way to start is to nail your out-of-home creative, which Eddie, I'm sure, can help you with. So while we work really well with our digital partners, we don't experience some of the same issues that they have. All of these trends existed prior to the pandemic, but many of them have been amplified throughout. I feel like, and I'm not the only one, I'm sure, there are so many different streaming apps available. Even the traditional networks now have one. So there's really no excuse to watch commercials anymore. The ad blockers on digital have reached an all-time high. But what's great about out of home is that it can't be skipped, it can't be turned off, and it's not seen as interruptive. Instead, it's additive to people's lives. And distrust. Unfortunately, there's distrust in the media beyond just Facebook and Google at this point. Out of home is seen as the most trustworthy medium due to its in real life and tangible experience. And we're even better amongst the younger generation. And then distraction. I love this goldfish because another fun fact for you, adults' attention span matches that of a goldfish, which is a whopping 8 seconds. Millennials down to 6, and I don't even want to know what Gen Z is. But that does not mean that Americans have gotten dumber. I like to look at the positive side and think that we're all so inundated with media and ads demanding our attention that we instead can choose what we want to pay attention to. And out of home is a great way to break through all of that digital fatigue. So now that we've talked about the audience and their changing routines, media preferences, and how they're approaching healthcare, let's talk more directly about how Outfront can help you reach your right audience at the right location at the right time. First up, the right audience. I like to say that Outfront has national breadth, but local depth. What I mean by that is that we reach 70% of Americans each and every week, but we can do so with a hyper local focus because of our integration into each city streets. So for an example, in LA, if you wanted to reach audiences seeking healthcare awareness, you could do so by demographics, by industry of employment, or even behavioral attributes. The right location goes right along with that. We have over 500,000 canvases in America alone. While we never expect a client to buy all 500,000, although we're willing to take it, this basically just means that you have a canvas that will serve your specific goals and needs. So again, as LA as an example, strategic locations near hospitals and medical centers, major roadways for big reach and attention, or targeted neighborhoods depending on who you specifically want to reach. And lastly, the right time. We are constantly expanding our digital opportunities. And really that just means that we're going to have more contextual relevance to those people seeing your ads. You can integrate triggers. If this happens, then play this ad. wait times for ERs, or even play into the new QR code phase. If you think about going to a restaurant at this point, nobody gets a paper menu anymore. It's not considered safe. Everyone is used to scanning a QR code in order to get and receive information. So when you put it all together, our 360 approach to our partnerships, we like to call it the Outfront Edge, because we believe it gives you the edge on your competition. First up, consultation and planning, really figuring out who you want to reach and what your main message is. And we can match the media to that. Then you're going to work with Eddie's team. What's cool is that we include all creative for any buy that any client's interested in, because we believe that it is the powerhouse of an ad's effectiveness, and we want to see your business grow stronger. Plus production, you'll see a few examples later on about how our great in-house team can go beyond the rectangle of the billboard. Amplification, we've talked about it a lot in terms of digital, but we can help with any local press and TV coverage as well for big campaigns. And then measurement. As marketers, we know that every dollar counts and you want to see its effectiveness. So we have solutions to measure that, whether it's in-store traffic, online engagement, or even brand affinity. The next section is one of my favorite because we get to look at some of your counterparts and the success that they're having within the industry. As a review, remember that Outfront delivers that trust and safety, again, because it's that tangible in real life experience. Name recognition due to its mass reach and frequency, and the fact that it's 100% viewable. And this is even more important now that there are so many different brands out there. How are you going to break through? How are you going to reach your consumer? And amplification, driving anything on mobile, whether that be scheduling appointments, looking up directions to your location, or even completing purchases. Victoria mentioned this at the beginning, and I'm going to shout out Eddie because I know he won't do it himself, but our creative team partnered directly with the CDC in the early days of the pandemic to launch a mass reach campaign on education on how to slow the spread of COVID-19 with the typical facts that you've known to memorize at this point. Stay home when you're sick, wash your hands. These were seen on basically every digital asset across the US, including mobile. And it's great because it was able to integrate into medias that are into neighborhoods that are underserved by other media. In these days of the pandemic, we're seeing a lot more of building vaccination trust amongst American campaigns, whether that's from the Department of Health and beyond. The Harris poll recently said that 72% of Americans are willing to take the vaccine when it's their turn. That's up from the high 50s of the earlier days. So we're already seeing success with this. Pictured here is New York, and I think that they're doing a great job in the fact that you see this wherever you are in the city, but this creative also matches what they're doing on other media formats so that they have that consistent messaging. They've even taken a step further to adjusting the language based on where their assets are and what people they're reaching. One of my favorite stats is that 70% of Americans are looking to see safety and public safety messaging on out of home and want to see this. 79% are expecting companies to share reliable COVID-19 vaccine information, with 65% pushing people or companies to actually encourage people to take the vaccine. So people want to hear about healthcare service. They want to hear about your safety information in the out-of-home space. At the beginning, we watched our purpose video, and I mentioned that we do take real pride of being part of the community, both from just having all of our media in the community, but also our employees in different neighborhoods and communities across the US. The St. Louis Children's Hospital took it a step further. There's a special bell in their hospital when a child finishes his or her last round of chemotherapy that they get to ring. And they wanted to bring that to the neighborhood. So I'm going to play a video, which, to be honest, I've seen it 100 times and it always makes me tear up, but let's watch it together.
In one St. Louis hospital finish up their final chemotherapy treatments, the entire city's going to know about it.
Drivers on Interstate 44 may soon notice a new sight.
The giant bell stands 12 feet tall and is part of a new tradition for children fighting the toughest battle of their lives.
Today, installation began on a one-of-a-kind billboard with a 12-foot-tall metal bell.
To mark the end of chemotherapy, a child rings a golden bell at the hospital. Once the billboard is complete, staff at Excitement Kids, using an app on their phone, will trigger the simultaneous ringing of the bell on the billboard.
Speakers on the billboard will commemorate the special occasion.
Anytime you hear the bell ring at Big Bend and I-44, you'll know another child like Avery just beat cancer.
I swear, every time gives me chills. Obviously a super emotional, impactful campaign, but you see how it took the reach from the hospital to the neighborhood, to local TV, to national TV, to social amplification and going viral there. So if you do your creative right, and especially in this industry, when there are so many emotional stories to tell, you will have the ability to go viral. Next up is targeted messaging. We know that 9 out of 10 Americans and people in general agree that getting mental health support is of the utmost importance at this time. Here we have Health and Human Services who said, mask your face, not your feelings, with important reach out information. And again, they adjusted the language based on who was in front of their billboards. The next brand had a hyper targeted target in terms of scientists commuting to and from the lab. And we were able to match the media along that typical commute so that they were reached 2 times a day each day. And last one is a little bit fun. New masks have brought new opportunities across the board for different cosmetic companies. If half of your face is covered for over a year now, why not come out on the other side with a nice bright smile? And then 2 words that I think encompass frustration for so many people across the world at this point: fogged glasses. This was just really smart by the LASIK eye surgery company of looking at to solve a problem that is now a daily occurrence. And something interesting to think of, if you are in the cosmetic space, your typical target might have a bit extra disposable income at this point if you think that people did not take those luxurious vacations over the past year. These are just a few of the stories of healthcare brands doing it right and out of home. And here are a few more logos of our friends who have been with us over 3 years. There's so many more to share. And with that great creative, I'm going to turn it over to Eddie.
Thanks so much, Liz. I appreciate that. And let me make sure I'm clicking through here. So, again, wasn't going to mention that we did it, but, as Liz and Victoria mentioned, we did partner with the CDC on this. And 3 things I want to call out about this, this campaign is, 1, it's a campaign, right? It's not just one message. So when you're thinking about your out of home or just really any advertising, I always feel like it's such a mistake just to throw one thing out there. 2, as you can see, multiple sizes of canvases that we were working with, but I wanted to point out as well that, and something Liz hit on, whatever you do, we want to make sure it is easy to scale on all sorts of media, right? All types of media. It's, again, we're not foolish enough to think that it's only out of home, right? It needs to work everywhere, mobile, social, print, TV, everything. And starting with out of home is a great place to start because of getting that message right off the bat. And the third thing is why we were the ones working on that campaign, right? Yes, I'm very involved with the OAAA, which is the out of home advertising's governing body. But really, I attribute it to my team just caring. They are this group of people, 50 across the country, as Victoria said, a boutique out-of-home agency, kind of first of its kind, that aren't just a bunch of warm bodies in one room somewhere. These are people that are in the cities that you're in right now, right? They understand the workings, what's relevant of those cities. So Tony and Brad are designers out in Phoenix. They know that a haboob is something that means, I don't know what the heck that is. For most of us, haboob is actually like a sandstorm, right? Brianna out in Philly, she knows that if she's gonna talk about a person, place, or thing, she might use the word Jean. Like, not gonna go into what that is, but if you're in Philly, you get it. And that's a benefit to y'all, right? Because these people are tied to these communities they work in, they're committed to it, and they're committed to out-of-home designs, building these campaigns. And for a lot of people, including me, getting into this industry, and I've said this multiple times, there was no way in heck I wanted to design billboards, because billboards were like these awful things that I would see on the side of the road, and I didn't understand them. They were like a wreck, like this thing that you're looking at. Well, what the heck is this thing?
It's gorgeous.
Oh, not so much. Awful. It's hard to look at, right? And it gave a bad name. It gives a bad name because they're out there. Like, there's still a ton of bad out-of-home ads out there, but this team is so committed to designing a campaign, like the CDC, like the Bell board that Liz shared, that actually means something. And we're here to work with you. And as you can see on the bottom right, all these different publications that we've been published in, the awards. Again, I'm not one for bragging, but I'm happy to brag on my team, and that they are the best in this industry. The OB Awards are, an awards show that highlights the excellence in the out-of-home industry. And for 3 years straight, the studios has brought it, beating out not just out-of-home vendors, their creative teams, but national agencies, local regional agencies. That they've won the most awards 3 years straight. And I say that because I want to highlight the fact that, again, that they care, right? They like you see on this ad here, we truly believe 100% of boring ads don't matter. That's a totally true / totally made up stat, but it's true, right? I don't want to work with somebody and put something up that is boring, right? That doesn't help you at all. The thing about out of home that hopefully by the time I'm done talking is that y'all agree with is it's this medium unlike anything else. In an instant, you can see something and it will visually connect with you, and it can change your emotion. You could be having a really horrible day and you see that billboard, you hear it ringing, it completely changes your mood, right? It goes from one of just this grumpy attitude to one of joy, one of excitement, hope. And I can't seem to find that in any other medium. And that's something that we love to get to know from you, the client, understand why you're in the industry you're in. Why do you feel the same way about what you do as I feel about what I do? And whether you're a local client, regional, or a national, or in this case, JLo, and her launching our JLo Beauty product, we're going to put the same amount of heart and effort into it. This one, we had less than a week to design a complete shuttle wrap and exterior and interior wrap, get it approved by JLo. So knowing that it was going to be aired on national TV on New Year's Eve. And the team crushed it. They did a phenomenal job. I was so proud because we started with a conversation. We started with understanding what the client was trying to do. And, I was super humbled. My whole team was, when we were seeing posts from JLo talking about it, which I'll play right here, right now. You can see all the, there's a lot that goes into a shuttle wrap, right? All the different bar cards, wraps, feeling.
I know, it's nuts. Like, ageless, youthful, limitless, timeless.
So, like, whether you like JLo or not, like, I think we all can agree she might have some pretty high standards. And she trusted my team to create this, not just a regular shuttle wrap, but something that was going to air on national TV at prime time with millions upon millions of people watching. And obviously she's pretty happy with it. And the way we get there, right, is not doing what that top word is, right? That spec word, that is speculative. I have it hollow for a reason, because I really think spec work is hollow. It's based on guessing. It involves a lot of high risk. The way we prefer to work is a consultative approach, right? Liz explained it in the EDGE process that we go through, where we want to talk to you. We want to hear from you. We want to listen. We're not going to sit there and, hey, we got locations here, here, and here. That doesn't matter until we understand what you're trying to do. But, I get it for all the, agency folks on this call. I 100% get, like, you have this idea, you're super excited, you're thinking, hey, everybody, check me out, I'm awesome. But really, you just look like an idiot, right? Like, they're just shaking their heads at you because you're making these assumptions that you really have no right to make. And that's something that, again, the whole studios team believes wholeheartedly. And if we can have that trust, and Liz, this is my attempt at a marketing graph. If we can have that trust from you, right, that conversation, we can develop an awesome campaign. I promise you. It just takes that trust and that conversation. So on that note, I wanted to dive into an example. And keeping in mind, this example is from like now. Like this wasn't a 2019 client. This is somebody that's going through the same challenges that you're facing right now in the midst of a pandemic. So again, we had a discovery conversation with them, which basically entails us listening, us hearing them out, asking a few questions, but then just zipping it and hearing y'all out. During this conversation, we heard that, look, and as you can see, like if you look at the bottom right corner there, there's a logo that has a weird head and maybe a little too much information about what's going on inside my nose that I don't need to know that. And then the one above, like it says, ask about our liquid facelift. No, that's like, I know you're in your, healthcare industry and that means something and it's really a safe, great procedure. But to someone like me, that scares the heck out of me. Like, it sounds like you're going to melt my face and take it off and then do something and slap it back on. That's all scary. And the thing that they wanted to hit on was, a lot of people, they just see us as this, they come to us with the problem. Obviously, we're sick, but we want them to focus on that we're easy to work with. This is a comfortable place. We're going to get them to a place of relief. And if you look at these pictures, one, no kid smiling that big on the right to get their ear checked. They're just not. And then the bottom, someone's like major pressure. So we were hearing them. And part of what we heard was, they didn't say it, but they said there was a little discontent with the current logo that they have. But again, you're in the middle of a pandemic. This is not the time to buy new signage, business cards, all that stuff. But again, you see that logo, there's a lot of drawing going on about my sinus that, again, I don't need to know about this. I just need to know that this is a comfortable, friendly place that's going to take care of me, that, I'm going to leave smiling, which the logo that was created on the right was created by our team to show that, look, out of home at its core is branding, right? You have those few seconds to make that impression, spur that emotion, convince somebody that you're worth doing business with. And, that's branding, right? So billboard versus logo, they carry the same weight to some degree. So when we showed them that logo, the creative director on the job and the AE, they literally said that the client was like, oh my, thank goodness. I'm so glad you noticed that we really needed help with some of our branding. And we were able to create this campaign, again, not one single ad, a whole campaign that had an attitude of relief. People are smiling. It's like sinus minus, like whatever, not a big deal. I'm going to get over this with the help of Ear, Nose, and Throat Institute. It scales to mobile, various formats of out of home. Even if, let's say you're going to the grocery store, like Liz's highlight of the week, she's going to the grocery store, she's excited. Here's something you can scan. And like literally right now, if you hold your phone up to it, open your camera, you'll see something like this pop up. And when you click it, you'll see almost this, but with their old logo on there, where you can schedule an appointment right now. So finding the right places to integrate QR codes for immediate interaction, right? To actually interact with that. And maybe it doesn't go to your landing page, maybe it goes to some social experience, but all these things should tie together and coexist and build your brand into something greater. So, you'll see their old logo right there. And again, that's because we're meeting clients where they are right now, right? We're understanding, and hopefully down the road, when business starts picking up, they'll be able to switch it to the newer logo, and then scale it across the board. And we want to help with that, right? We don't want to just give you the billboard and say good luck. We want to partner with you. There's fees for extra work that we'd have to do, but we want to talk about it and see how we can help you succeed in all areas. So again, I made this point before. I love out of home because, of course, I'm biased, right? And I'm a weirdo that thinks about it at night. But to come up with a copy line that's just 7 words or just none at all, just a visual, is hard, right? It's not a 30-second spot where you can kind of ramble on, or a couple paragraphs on a print ad. It has to work in 2 seconds. So to do that is hard, but once you do it, you can scale it to any media format. It doesn't work quite as well going the other way, right? It's that 30-second spot squished onto a billboard looks like the one I showed you earlier, just a flat out train wreck. But when we can have that discovery meeting, right? When we can partner with you and hear you out, that's when we can do something really amazing, right? That's, this spine center showing them a new look and feel, providing this key art form so that they can also use it on their website. This client, they pharmaceuticals, right? They have a huge struggle with important safety information, like not wanting 20 paragraphs of fine print on their out-of-home ad. So we had a discovery conversation, understood the heart of what they're trying to do, which was a beautiful thing, by the way, for type 1 diabetics, and came up with this campaign. The bottom right is what posted. They literally spent $9 million the year prior on TV and saw zero return on it. The year they ran a campaign in Dallas and Houston for $350,000, they saw a 900% increase in web traffic. And we didn't even use their logo. We didn't even use their colors on the final ad, but we wouldn't have got there if we didn't talk to them in the beginning, right? To understand every step of the way of their business, every service they provide, and find the right canvases to convey that message in a beautiful, engaging way that resonates with that audience. Liz talked about different things we can do. Maybe it's a tease and reveal, right? So muffin top, I definitely struggle with that. Too hot muffin. Maybe it's a tease and reveal, or maybe it's a sequential billboard, right? Knowing when to use certain effects. Very simple idea here, but yes, we can light stuff up at night for those late nights at the office. We can work with vendors we know. Our operations team, the people that actually go out and install these things are second to none. I feel like sometimes they're way more creative than me, and I'm supposed to be the creative guy, but they hear out an idea and they build it in their head and they make it a reality. Even if it's deconstructing boards or something. And the point I really want to make is all you agencies out there, if you have this crazy idea in your head, like the bell, right? That was from an agency. They said, hey, can we put sound on a billboard? At the time, I thought they were nuts. But the more we talked, it's like, we got to figure out how to make this happen. That was literally an alarm system remote that made that bell go off. We figured out a way to make it happen. We hired an eye sculptor before, right? Like nothing's off the table to get that reaction, right? Maybe it's a simple copy line that's humorous. Unfortunately, this is all too true at my house. Or it's just helping relieve the fear and anxiety of a little kid about going to the dentist, where they want to go see the screaming cartoon monster face. But it all comes down to that discovery conversation, us knowing what needs to be said and knowing the locations and how people need to interact with it. That kind of makes everything come together. That is that edge. And if we're able to do that, I guarantee you're going to resonate with your audiences. We don't need to say everything on an ad. We need to pique that emotion. We need to inspire people to make them want to care, and then reach out, do research your business. The one thing I can promise is that working with us, you're going to work with people that care. I know that sounds cheesy, really cheesy, but it's true. I read tons of books, 3 to 4, 5 sometimes a night. They're all Dr. Seuss books, which really questions my reading level. But this is one of my favorite quotes from a Dr. Seuss, because it's so true with who we are. Unless someone like you, meaning you sitting in your chairs, and me and people on our team cares an awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. Unless you trust us with your baby, your brand, we're not going to be able to build something awesome. But I promise you, man, I promise you, you trust us with that. You have that 5 minutes to maybe it turns into an hour, I don't know, whatever it is, where we can understand who you are. We can understand why you're so passionate. We can help. And that's my last pitch, right? What I hope you would experience after working with us is that you would be as passionate as I am about my industry, and we'd be able to pull that out of you, understand that and show the rest of the world, the rest of your market, the city you live in, that passion. If you do that, you're going to crush it. I'll toss it back over to you, Liz.
Yeah, so in summary and closing, obviously the consumer has changed. So smart brands are mixing it up with an integrated media campaign. That healthcare brands are already seeing success on out of home, and Eddie walked us through some really creative ways in which you can reach your consumer in an empathetic way. And creative at the end of the day drives results. So with that, we're going to open it up to Q&A, and I'll let Victoria take it away.
Thank you. So let's just address the first question. Was J-Lo on the creative call?
No, she was not. Actually, I have an email that says, sorry, as soon as J-Lo wakes up from her nap, she'll jump back on this. She was up till 2 a.m. filming her latest video. So duty calls, I guess.
Next time. Another question came in. Can we at Outfront help with copy even if they don't need design help?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We've worked with several agencies. One of them for Bagel Bites, where they wanted contextual copy lines for specific placements, that even down to the fact that, like, hey, this one's across from a funny, stand-up club. What do we say here? And then again, that little, how that region says it. I please bring it. I would love to help out with that.
So there was a question specifically for the ear, nose, and throat creative you shared, Eddie. Did it help presenting the creative rather than just sending a presentation deck? And apart from great creative, what do you think really sold this specific campaign?
It definitely helped presenting, right? So when we present, it's, kind of what I was saying about spec. Like, I think it's a really bad move just to email a deck and be like, hey, let me know your thoughts, or worse yet, like, let me know what you want to change, assuming that we totally messed it up. We like to present, because when we present, before we even show that first page, we rehash that discovery conversation and just check for alignment, right? Like, you said this, correct? Like, and we understood that you were struggling with this. Okay, got it. So taking all that, this is what, we came to. It definitely helps. And the main thing, to the second part of your question, that really, makes the difference. And again, super cheesy, but it shows we care. Like, it's literally that simple. I mean, think about that in your personal lives. Like, you're not gonna have a great relationship with someone that doesn't care. You're just not.
Thanks, Eddie. This might be geared more towards Liz. What would you say to healthcare brands that are not using out of home to advertise, and why is out of home important to this category?
Yeah, well, Eddie has said it really well, but there's simply things you can do on out of home that you can't do anywhere else. It's a very unique medium. And I think in this time, especially with so much digital fatigue and people just having this rejoicement of being outside their homes, it's a great time to break through, even just to make people laugh and provide a little joy in their life. I think it's a great opportunity to do so, and all about the trust. I mean, I just think that there's so much distrust out there, that to have a trustworthy medium that's in real life is a really great way to communicate your message to Americans. Plus, they really want to hear it. All the research is showing that people want to hear from healthcare brands about safety, everything about COVID, the vaccines, the testing, all of that.
Yeah, those stats, like 70%, like that's flipping huge.
Yeah.
Great. Eddie, do certain colors or backgrounds pop better on digital boards?
So I'll get a similar question, like what colors contrast best on out of home? And my answer usually is the same colors that contrast in the real world. Like you got your blue and your orange, right? So with digital, the only thing there is with white, you don't ever want to do a bright white, right? Because that's like all the LEDs just blasting at one time, and it can look a little grainy and whatever. But I still use white, like a 8% black, on my designs for digital. I think you still get the same effect. It still looks like white. The colors I try to stay away from is certain shades of red on black. Like sometimes it gets a little difficult to see, but If you're ever in doubt or curious about it, just shoot the design over to your account executive, me, whoever is on that account, and we'll take a closer look, because there's different shades and tones that kind of change things up.
Great. It is 4:45, and that's all of our panel today. We do have lots of other questions that came in, and apologies for not being able to get to them, but we don't want to keep you too late today. So we will follow up with all of you guys who dropped in questions either in the chat or Q&A. Thank you so much for attending. We will follow up again with the recording of today's call on our Outfront X Content Hub. And we look forward to continuing collaborating with you and hearing from you soon. Thank you.